1. Fragments of silicon. Without it, it's just a bunch of wires.
Welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me, as always, is Drew, Ogre.
We're the crew now. I'm going to be the package delivery boy.
You'll soon be the skeleton crew. I can't get through this.
God damn it.
Anyway, Petty Fan.
Hi, I make the things work still.
Yalex.
Hi.
And Twilight.
Yo.
Alright, let's see. Twilight, you go first.
In terms of personal news, not much going on around here this week. Weather's starting to feel like summer though. And this morning, me and my uncle changed the oil in my car. Yeah, that went better than most times. Otherwise, been playing games for the show and whatnot, and that's about it.
Alright. Ogre, you're up.
Hey, guess what we finally finished?
Final Fantasy 14?
Exactly, we're done with Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, thank God.
Just flipped my entire desk.
Oh, it's not over yet, friend.
They released a nice trailer for that today that has so many spoilers in there, except for people who know how story works. Oh no, this thing we totally saw was going to happen actually happened in the storyline. Who could have called that?
God.
So how does it feel to be done with Color Splash?
I actually needed a few moments when we were done. I think I spent like an extra hour over there, so it's just well, that and that apartment heats up pretty badly, so.
So it was less and more melt.
Yeah, more melt too. Also didn't help. I still had that headache from Sunday as well. But now I'm stuck in this perpetual state of, oh hey, that thing we were doing for 6 months, somehow 6 months, is now finished, and oh shit, we gotta think of new stuff to do.
Chrono Trigger, wait, what?
No, God no. I'm starting to think we need to institute a one RPG a year if rule. And this this almost barely counts as an RPG in a lot of people's eyes.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Xenoverse 2 might be in the works for next year.
Well, whenever my computer feels like running it. It never ran. It never started. It didn't even get the startup thing on my computer for some reason.
The big game.
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's just that it won't even go to the startup menu. I hit start and it just goes,
Well, I'm like,
and that's it. And I'm stuck here going like, this costs money and I can't play it. Which hopefully, it was a gift, so it's not like I have a receipt for it or anything.
Like,
which kind of leads me to the other thing is that next week, hopefully, sometime before the 16th, we're going to look into doing a fresh install for my computer here, because I'm going to get a new hard drive and just get Windows 10 for that. And
You know how to transfer your data over from your other hard drive, right?
Well, if what Elo said is simple enough, yeah, it should be fine. I'm surprised it's just that one folder and you're done kind of thing.
Oh
but,
yeah. Though some games
So-
won't work right, so it's best for those ones just to delete them out of the folder and re-download them.
You actually have to take the two hard drives and rub them together really hard.
No, do not do
Mm.
that.
Yeah, which is why I'm not going to let Naka take the hard drive, because one time when we were actually taking out an old hard drive
He
to
dropped
take
it.
to his house to double check it, barely out the door of my house, and oops, right onto the cement walkway.
Oh!
Oh dear.
Oh.
It worked for a bit and then went.
God
Yeah,
dang it.
I'm more surprised that it worked for a bit.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's not allowed to touch them again. It struck itself on the corner, so it wasn't
Oh,
like
God.
it went flat, but
You're lucky you didn't pick it up and wasn't just a pile of broken glass inside of there.
I don't know why, but apparently I was the lucky one for a few moments. But yeah, I'm gonna take care of that, which means I might not be in time for the Microsoft stuff, the E3 thing, but I might.
Microsoft,
Who knows?
Microsoft is Sunday.
Is it Microsoft? I thought it was. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What?
It's
Sony?
Yeah, Sony is on Monday, but that's at 9 Eastern. So
Yeah, I might not. We'll see. It depends on how fast we record everything and take care of that stuff afterwards, which, knowing us, it'll probably be an hour or two of dicking around and then finally recording, then an hour or two of dicking around afterwards.
well, have you thought about what you're gonna do next, or is that like when you get there kind of deal?
I know there's going to be a couple of small things,
Well, it's
maybe a medium thing. It's hard to tell the length of it, but I have no idea what next thing we're going to do. Because I'm just at that point of like, this is the last 6 months and it's finally over. What the shit do we do now?
you're in a game hole.
Yeah,
Like-
kind of. Is most
I mean-
most of my ideas have kind of fell by the wayside. It's like I was thinking, it's like I'd love to do Dragon Quest VIII, and then I went, that's an RPG. Fuck that noise now.
Well, I mean,
I love Dragon Quest. We ain't doing another RPG this year.
Well, I suppose that you got like 4 episodes of that Homestar Runner game still. So
Yeah, there's always that too, but it's always working out the fine details for another time for us.
of course. So anything else?
Less than 2 weeks for Stormblood, yay. And that's it for me.
Okay. Petty fan, you go.
Well, the eternal struggle with yard work continues.
Oh goody.
This time I had to use a chainsaw. Yeah.
Is
You
your
get-
yard just the house from Jumanji when the jungle takes over?
If I let it.
That's
Watch out for those flowers that shoot poisonous barbs.
But yeah, the part of the problem is because I hurt my knee, I hadn't really been able to keep up on the yard work. So it hasn't really been touched much since October of last year.
Did you get another citation?
No, but we are trying to avoid that because since my dad had to have a hemorrhoid removed, he doesn't have any time off to take to help me, so I would have to do it all by myself at once. And I would seriously probably end up hurting my knee more, and we don't want that. Because if I do much
This
more
is really starting to border on a comedy of errors, or weren't more of a tragedy of errors.
Because, yeah, it's one of those, if I hurt my knee much more, then surgery is probably going to be the next option. I don't want that.
Don't blame you.
Other than that, I ordered a new mouse because mine is finally starting to give the ghost after about 6 years. So I think it's called a Razer Lance Head coming in. Because yay coupons.
Razor Lancehead.
Yeah.
Most
Sounds-
badass sounding snake
I was about
ever.
to say that's an
Lance
intense
head.
sounding mouth.
Yeah. So that it had I just ordered it this morning, so I should have it by next week, I hope.
Nice.
Aside from that, I got my phone, I guess, replaced after my previous one boot looped, so that's been fun. We've also been looking into what we can do when we upgrade in November. We're looking into going to Galaxy S8s, but that depends on money at the time. And aside from that, I think I'm done.
All right. Well, Galix, you're up.
I also have some car woes. My car apparently failed its inspection because of some weird internal oil leak or something that isn't too bad, but apparently it's very expensive to fix because it involves like taking out the engine to get to the spot where it's. Anyway, we're seeing what can be done about that to not be super expensive.
Good luck.
But that's stressful, and work has also been stressful because they're rearranging the office significantly. But you know, that's how life goes.
As is life.
Not much interesting involving video games that I've been playing lately, aside from stuff for the show. But there's been a lot of interesting news, so I've been enjoying looking forward to some things.
Duly noted. Anything else on your end?
Not really specifically, I don't think.
Like, all right, I guess it's my go. I mean,
Sorry, I'm not a very interesting person.
It's fine.
I find it interesting that some of you claim to be playing games for the show when I don't see any gameplay time on the games for the week for certain people. Like,
Well, the ones I played last week were most of my time, aside from
I know.
a little bit of noodling around with my 3DS.
Well, it's also it's because one is a cow clicker and the other is a broken, just a broken pile.
We'll be getting that on Sunday.
Well,
Right.
I was mostly talking about the ones for last week.
There we go.
I haven't even been able to play Breath of the Wild that much.
Well, Zombital Remonstered, you just kind of leave open. I mean, you can click on it, sure, but it's a clicker game. It kind of automates itself after, especially once you get higher up there. Anyway, let's see. Speaking of car trouble, my mother had a bit of that. Is it this week or is it last week? Like one of her tires went flat. So that was,
I mean, it could have been worse. Could have been a catastrophic failure.
I'm like, actually, it turns out it was a lot worse than expected because her car needs special tires, like very specific tires because of the build of the car, like, and it's also the tire couldn't be fixed because it's like I think it's because of the chemical bond or something like that. For whatever reason, like when the tire goes, it goes. The ultimate point being, it ultimately cost her $170 for a tire.
That's kind of a lot for a tire.
Yeah, I've heard of worse though, but that's still a lot for a tire.
Yeah, there's worse, but that's that's one tire. So, needless to say, she was not happy about that. But everything got fixed, so hooray for that. Let's see, fucking rainy season started, so it's been humid as fuck around. And yeah, I think that's the proper term for it. It's like it doesn't even. It's not even that hot. It's just it feels like you're in a never-ending swamp. let's see. If you missed the news beforehand, we got a extra special episode of MSP coming up. More on that at the bottom of the show. I think that's about it as far as news goes. Especially since we started a bit late, so we kind of have to keep things rolling here, and that means moving to the interview portion of the broadcast. And this week we have Richard Nava of
Hello.
Happy Badger Studio.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, doing well. Game is out in the wild, and so we've been working hard, making sure updates are, fresh and clean, making sure everyone is getting the game properly. It's
Right.
been quite an exciting few weeks, really.
Um, um, we'll get into that a little down the line,
Sure.
but first, we like to start things by getting to know the person behind the game, behind the studio, behind the everything, and
Nice.
we do that by asking, how did you get interested in video games in the first place?
How did I get interested in video games?
Mhm.
Well, for Christmas, when I was 4, my mom got me a Game Boy Color, and I like to say the rest is history. I mean, it's my favorite. It's my favorite art form, and that obsession and passion drove me to want to pursue a career in game development. And so when I went to college, I was lucky enough to have gone to a college where game design was offered as a program there as a major, um, and I just went for it, and I wanted to know, what the ins and outs of game development was. I mean, I've been gaming all my life, and I really wanted to be able to create experiences for audiences that delivered, not just a fun experience, but also like a good message, because I believe that, it's an art form that isn't fully realized yet since it's so new. Um, but I got I came into contact with Happy Badger during my history of video games class. The director of Smugglecraft um, and of Happy Badger in general, he was the professor, and I was a sophomore at the time, and he brought in an early version of Smugglecraft, just a beta test, and this was for the very last day of the class, where the whole class voted on what was our favorite games that we played and learned about, and so we played them. And he also brought in Smugglecraft for anyone who wanted to try it out and join. And I loved it. I thought it was so fun. It was very different, which is what I liked about it. It was very unique. It was like a new take on the racing genre. So, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'd like to learn more about it. And so we ended up adding each other on Facebook, and I kept asking questions about the game and stuff. And uh, finally, when after I had some experience already in the industry, I kind of went up to him and was like, "Hey, I'd like to help Smugglecraft you, be even better. I believe that I can help it out in an exponential way." And he asked, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I knew that Smugglecraft, it needed a good community. It has fun multiplayer. A lot of the best parts of Smugglecraft are seen through multiplayer. So I said, hey, you got to have people knowing what it is. So I'd love to help out in that area, because I wasn't the best at hardcore coding and game development yet. So he said, you know what, I'd love to have you on board. And so for the past year and a half, I've been helping out on Smugglecraft, helping that game, get off its feet.
So you're fairly new to the industry then.
Yeah, I would say working professionally in the industry, I'm pretty new. I've only been doing so for about 2.5 years. This is Happy Badgers is the second video game company I've worked for.
No, what was the first?
The first was Pixel Press. They are also a St. Louis-based game development company, and they make a game called Bloxels, which is really cool. it's a physical game at first where you like build. It's a game where you build your own video game. So you take your tablet, you build a physical version of the game on a board, and then you take a picture of it with your iPhone, iPad, or whatever tablet you have, and then it becomes a playable game on whatever device. And so I did community development and quality assurance for them first as a community development specialist, and then I wanted to be more, I because it's more of an educational tool, and but they were great. They were really cool. But Happy Badgers, they had Smugglecraft and had that whole indie vibe, and I kind of want to go for that.
Um, right. So, how many people have been working on Smugglecraft for the past year and a half?
Yeah, we got a core team of 5. But we have been getting help from many other artists. So right now we have Ben is our director, producer of Smugglecraft. It's sort of his main vision. And then we have Dana Huth, our level designer. She created the track pieces, a lot of the art in there. And then we've got TJ, our technical artist, who helped model all the ships and helped with the programming as well. And then we've got Joey, who was our lead programmer. Such an awesome guy. He's our lead programmer. He's up in the thick of things in that Unity engine, doing all of that crazy coding. And then we've also got Ben Sawyer, who is our cinematic artist. Caleb, our narrative design, and then Mark Straight, our sound designer. So, and Phil. He does all the awesome music that you hear going on when you're racing. Yeah.
I'll have to take your word on that measure because I don't think anyone here has played Smugglecraft yet.
Not yet. Okay, cool. Well, I highly recommend it.
Well, usually we get codes for these things, so but shifting a bit, why is the game called Smugglecraft?
Yes.
When I first laid my eyes upon it, sorry.
No problem. Smugglecraft. You play the role of a smuggler.
Mm-hmm.
And you drive a hovercraft. The game, the name sort of came to Ben when you're just smuggling and you're driving a hovercraft. He thought it kind of rolled off the tongue easy, Smugglecraft. It kind of sticks in the brain a little bit.
It does. It's just when you hear a name like that, you're kind of expecting Minecraft clone.
Sure. You do make your own ships. There is a crafting element where you take credits, and whenever you get payments from whatever jobs that you take in the world of Dural, you could use that to upgrade and buy new ship parts. So there is a little bit of a crafting element. But yes, it's a hovercraft. You're driving hovercraft as a smuggler, taking jobs and whatnot.
And what sort of materials are you smuggling? Is it just like contraband or
contraband information? It varies between. So there are 3 main factions of the game, with a few sub factions, and you choose which factions you want to take jobs for. In between smuggle runs, and there are the rich, and then there are the poor, and then there are the rebels that sometimes are transporting weapons or food, and then there's the rich that are sometimes asking for a ride from city to city, or sometimes could be you could even be smuggling organs, or sometimes contraband. Yeah, some recreational substances, things that sometimes you're not allowed to have in the world of Dural. So it's really anything. It's a smuggler's choice.
Well, I suppose another question in regards to the world of Dural is this a kind of an Orwellian place? Like, are you dealing with a police state, or
It's
is
definitely yeah. It's definitely a police state. So you have the three main factions. You've got the Oros, which is like the rich, the powerful. They sort of have their hand in a little bit of everything. And then you have the laborers, who they're always, you know, they're always working for the Oros. They kind of they got the short end of the stick in this society. And then you have the rebels, who see that this society is not the way it should, and that definitely there are some people who are taken advantage of, and they're fighting to overthrow and change the governing power. Those are the three main factions that you can take jobs for, and then you build your reputation with each one of them. You can betray them on smuggler runs, and the choices that you make will dictate whatever ending that you get.
kind of reminds me of early GTA games.
Really,
Um,
GTA games, yeah.
yeah, okay. For those who those who haven't played, say, GTA 2 or GTA 1, um, you were usually aligned. You could align with one of several factions, and you do jobs for them and increase your reputation while simultaneously having your reputation decrease with the other factions. And you can
Right.
trade them and all that stuff. I assume that's how Smugglecraft works here.
Yeah. So if you take more jobs with laborers than you do the Oros, they're not going to see you as quite of an ally. So they might be sending bounty hunters after you during smuggler runs. Same thing if you betray them. Like if you choose to take a contract and you betray them, you might find a little more obstacles along the way when you do other jobs for other factions. So
Now, I've seen this called being. I've seen this be called a racing game, but is this strictly speaking a racing game or a driving game?
driving, yes. So driving would be um, more for the single player, but the heart and soul would be in the multiplayer, and that's where you're racing. And also in the single player mode, other smugglers would see you, and then they can ask, hey, I'll race you for some money, and you could accept some races, and you can win some, you can lose some. Um, it's really up to you when you take jobs. But the heart and soul is in the multiplayer racing. That's where personally I think it shines the best. So we put it under the racing genre first and foremost.
Hmm. And in regards to the online multiplayer, is that okay? First of all, do you raise custom vehicles there, or are they presets?
Right now, it is presets. We're just giving people a good feel of the controls, because when you race online against other people, it does there is a new sense of difficulty. Um, but soon we will have custom built ships that you can bring into the multiplayer. So when you craft your ship in single player, all the ship parts that you unlock, all the ship parts that you buy, when you upgrade your ship, you'll be able to bring that into multiplayer to race against your friends online and locally.
Hmm. And how many people can join a race?
8. Yeah, you could have up to 8 online, or 4 locally.
Hmm. And does that affect performance in any measure, especially locally?
No, it doesn't affect the performance at all. You still get that smooth hovercraft racing feel that you'd get with the single player, um, whether it be online or locally.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know. And are there any weapons in the multiplayer, or is it strictly racing?
Strictly racing. Some parts have stronger that can give your ship stronger durability. So, for example, like if you want the heaviest, most durable ship with the most shields, it might take away from your speed, but you'd be able to crash into other players or force them into various obstacles within the map. So there are some offensive measures you can take, but there isn't dedicated offensive parts that can like, for example, shoot other characters. But when you're on the field, when you're smuggling, there are authorities in the game that can come after you if you've done something illegal or did an illegal job, and they can have weapons. They are legally they're able to have weapons in this world, and they will shoot you if they see you.
Hmm. And so one aspect we have yet to talk about is, well, the tracks themselves and the fact that they're procedurally generated.
Yes.
Um, what was the impetus behind that decision? To have tracks that are, well, random.
Yes. So the randomly procedurally generated tracks. What we find in a lot of racing games is when you play it a lot, something that can happen is you get bored of the tracks simply because you know every twist, every turn, and some you could take that as an advantage, um, but it can get stale at times, and we didn't want that to happen in Smugglecraft. We wanted every race, every job you took to feel different, feel fresh, and feel new. So instead, we came up with procedurally generated tracks. So every race you do would feel new. You would have to always be on your toes, and it was more about adaptability, um, or adaption. You had to adapt to the world around you, to every new twist, every new turn, rather than, oh, it's this track. Okay, I know after this turn I got to do this, and then there would be a jump here that I could take, and that would mean I would get there faster. We wanted players to have a fresh new experience with every mission, no matter if it was a delivery or a towing mission, because there's numerous delivery missions, but no mission would ever feel the same if a track was new as well.
Hmm. That's certainly an interesting spin on things. And how is the randomization elements implemented?
The randomization in the tracks, it's placed in the tracks and also in the jobs that appear as well. So once you take a job, you arrive at a new city, and then every city you go to, there could be 3 missions available, there could be 5 missions available. That's randomly decided, as well as what kind of missions and how much they were willing to pay. So those are all random as well.
Interesting. And in terms of, like, well, let's call them opposing forces, are there like boss type enemies in this game, or
There aren't boss type enemies, but there are key quests. So in the story, there are pivotal points in the story, like large decisions that you would have to make. And then whatever decision you choose, that will branch off to wherever that story or your story will lead you. And those uh, key quests are what dictate heavily the direction of the story for the ending. So, not bosses per se, but more so key pivotal points.
Hmm. And in terms of endings, are there like 3 endings, or are there more?
More. There are more than 3 endings. I'm not at liberty to say, but yes, there are well over 3.
Okay. And how is the music created?
Well, we had a vision for like an 80s synth pop.
Mm-hmm.
That was our music, our music composer. He kind of looked at the art and kind of felt that kind of vibe with it. He sent over a track to our director, and he's like, "I like it. It's got this like 80 synth pop vibe." And he goes, "Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I think I'm gonna go with that as the theme for the rest of the tracks in the game." So he kind of just went with it, and whatever he felt went with a good race, or because we also have night missions. Uh, because time of day changes depending on how many races you've done prior. So he came up with night themes, midday themes. So yeah, it's got a good 80s synth pop vibe mixed with heavy adrenaline racing.
Hmm. And in terms of consoles, why was the PlayStation 4 selected?
PlayStation 4, it's a good console. We all are PlayStation gamers, and so we got into contact with them, and Sony is amazing to work with. We've loved working with them for the past 3 years, and once we get our dev kit, we just loved working on the system. Really, we like the feel of the controller, and I personally have been a PlayStation guy, and I believe so as our lead programmer. But it was more of just a preference than anything.
I see. Um, was there any attempt to get onto like Microsoft system or a Nintendo system?
Yes, there has, and we can we could say you could definitely keep an eye out for an announcement sooner than later.
Ah, that tease. Like, um, so we're coming up on time here, so just a couple more questions.
Sure.
Outside of the multiplayer stuff, customization stuff, what else is upcoming in terms of patch work for Smugglecraft?
Patchwork. We are fixing small bugs and updates as they come. And first and foremost, we are focused on multiplayer. We want to make the multiplayer experience as smooth as possible. We are a small team, so one small bug does mean a little more work than your average AAA. So we're trying best to fix up all the kinks as possible. We do have a few new updates and new ship parts up the sleeve that you can definitely expect to see soon, as well as possibly a few new game modes. But we're focused mostly on bugs and that announcement that is coming soon.
Right. I'll see if my colleagues here have any final questions for you.
Sure.
I think everything I was going to ask has been already answered, so.
I'm good. I'm sorry I might have missed. I probably did miss it because I had to go take care of something because my parents are going out of town this weekend.
Sure.
The aesthetic of the game was definitely a deliberate choice. It looks like. Was that like to go along with the music style, or was that just what you wanted initially, or?
Yeah. So it's a very unique style. It's got that that low poly feel. The music and the art definitely fed off each other, but the low poly vision was first.
Mm-hmm.
And so the composer played the game before he composed the music for it. But no, yeah, it was sort of it was our artist Dana and TJ's sort of move to go that low poly, crisp and clean with bright colors. They just thought it looked really cool, and you don't see a lot of low poly racing games out there, and we definitely wanted to be unique and kind of switch up the genre. So that's why we went for it.
Okay.
All right. I think that'll about do it. Um, thank you, Richard, for taking time out of your schedule for being with us this week.
Oh, no problem. This was awesome. This was very fun. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, no problem. The game is Smugglecraft. It's available for the PC and the PlayStation 4 for $14.99. It's for Mac, Windows, and Linux, so you can play it on your computer platform of choice. And it might be coming soon-ish to another console near you. All right. So, Petty Fan, play us to the next segment. All right, welcome to the topic of discussion for the week. So, we had one of those last minute change ups because news happened. No?
Yes, much news.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Well,
change-ups.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much what has happened, it's what has not happened. Or I suppose it's a little of both, because what we're talking about is Nintendo and its relationship with third parties. Because this is perpetually a thing. It's been a thing for many generations now. Like, so I suppose the big point of contention in the grand scheme of things has been FIFA 18.
Yeah, and for those of you on the Twitch stream, I'm putting up an article.
It's the Polygon article about this. Yeah. So if you'll recall, EA kind of stopped making video games on Nintendo platforms there for a while. Like, as did a lot of companies, because the Wii U sold like shit, and cratered pretty quickly. So everyone's like, nope, not making any more games for that dead zone. So this is how we get situations with for example, Take-Two has said they'll support the Switch selectively. Like, I'm assuming that means like you're not going to see Red Dead Redemption 2 on the platform due to various factors. One, it's not going to run on the Switch without a lot of changes. And two, it's got an always online component, and we're not exactly sure how that's going to work on the Switch. There isn't a game on the system that's always online yet, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I think Splatoon kind of might be, except it's still gonna have a single player component. So
It's possible.
Yeah, Splatoon won't be always online. I doubt it.
No. But like they're bringing a version of NBA 2K18 to the mix, and from all eyes, from everything we've seen, it appears to be a version of NBA 2K18 that's coming to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's not going to be as graphically intense as say the PlayStation 4 version, because it's weaker hardware. This is something that is always going to work against Nintendo.
If only the GameCube didn't fail as hard as it did.
Yeah, I'm like, but it does look like it's going to be the same version that is on even on the advanced platforms. And so that gets into the contrast with FIFA 18 here. First of all, we gotta address the name, because I'm like, the fucking messaging on this has been insane. Like, because it's literally bounced back and forth twice between names. It started off being called FIFA Soccer for the Nintendo Switch, and then it was called FIFA 18. Then, like 2 weeks ago, it shifted back because it's going to be like a different version. But now it's FIFA 18 again.
Because, consistency is overrated, I guess.
Yeah. Who needs a
I'm
clear and concise brand message, right?
I'm like, what do you even say to that? Like, even EA can't keep what this is straight. Like, and it's no wonder people are getting upset over the version version on display here. So as it stands, FIFA 18 for the Nintendo Switch is not going to use the Frostbite engine. And this is kind of important for another reason. It's because all of EA's current gen games are powered by Frostbite. So if the Switch,
having one that isn't is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's like if the Switch isn't getting a version of the Frostbite engine, that means don't expect a version of like Star Wars Battlefront or Battlefield or any of the other, possibly any of the other sports games. Although granted, those also have like legacy editions, but not having the Frostbite engine there actually kind of really limits what EA can do on the platform.
Yeah, and it's either they don't have enough faith in Nintendo to, for the Switch to be viable for them, or they just don't have the resources to put towards making a Switch version of Frostbite.
It could be both. But part of the problem here is, by taking a wait and see approach, they kind of put themselves at risk because, well, the fucking Nintendo Wii, when that became the biggest thing in the gaming universe for a time, third parties were jumping all over themselves to get onto that platform. And they had to admit that they kind of they misread the room when it came to the Nintendo Wii. In a lot of regards, as it turned out. But that's another story for another day. The point of order is the Nintendo Switch is doing quite well. Nintendo is trying to increase production. Like, they're looking to sell, I think, like 20 million units this year, or in a year, something like that. The point is, they're trying to sell a lot of Nintendo Switches. And, there's going to be an audience on this fucking console. Yeah. And, it's kind of it's kind of, you can understand why third parties would be recalcitrant to support the console, because it's not just connecting with that audience. It's like they have to compete against Nintendo themselves. But I'm like, I cannot, I really want to shout at the fucking third parties of the world and say, don't fucking treat the audience with contempt, you fucking morons. It's like, stop with the fucking test games.
Literally, the audience wants to throw you money. Let them throw you money.
Yeah, if you want to sell something, why not just like put out your thing that you think will do well, and not your thing that you're like don't want to commit your thing that will do well to a thing for some stupid reason.
Yeah, or worse, saying if you want popular game Y, you've got to buy product X, or you might not see it.
Oh yeah, that thing they did with that one Tales game that was like,
yeah.
Although that was for localization rather than for a console thing, but still the same idea applies.
Yeah. It's like, no, third parties, this doesn't engender yourself to the fucking audience. It's like, if you have a good product, they'll buy it. If they think it sucks, they
It
won't.
seems like they're generally just unwilling to believe that people actually want what they say they want. And you need to prove it by buying something that you didn't particularly say you wanted first.
Well, it's also because they want to half-ass it. You know, they don't want to put in the effort, and then they want to, blame people for not buying the shitty-ass version of the game that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it, it's like, and yeah, no. It's certainly understandable that you can't bring the latest and greatest to the Nintendo Switch, to Nintendo platforms going back all the way to the Wii. Like, Nintendo just doesn't play the power game anymore, and that's gonna restrict them in terms of software. That is a fact. That that just needs to be accepted. Until the day that they start getting back onto the cutting edge again, they're just going to miss out on some stuff. They've also got audience and demographic clash. Nintendo audiences are at least perceived to be a lot more family friendly than, say, Microsoft or Sony.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is why we see a lot more kids games, family games, shovelware, what have you, than other platforms. But it doesn't excuse developers for missing easy money, and that gets me to fucking Capcom. Like, this is a publisher that just outright astounds me, because, quite frankly, they should have known better. I'm like, I'm referring to the fact that, Capcom hasn't exactly been the biggest supporter of the Nintendo Switch.
I would argue that they haven't been the biggest supporter of any console lately, but sure.
Well, there are reasons for that. Capcom made a lot of bad choices, and so they don't have a lot of money these days. But, it's like, what I'm getting at is, why, dear God, why has the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, the Disney Afternoon Collection, you could, why have these compilation packs missed the Switch? Shit, where the fuck are the, some Resident Evil games here? Like, it's not, like, you don't even have the cheap and easy stuff ready to go. And here's the thing, like, it's very apparent that Capcom needs the Nintendo Switch a lot more than the Switch needs them, because their stock went up a lot when they finally announced Monster Hunter XX for the device.
Because Monster Hunter has had a pretty strong history of success on Nintendo consoles, I think.
Right.
Or particularly Nintendo portables, which the Switch still is half.
Yes. Monster Hunter XX is actually seen as a really good pairing in Japan, for obvious reasons. And it's cross-compatible with the 3DS.
And actually, it's a great version for the the Switches, bring it to hang out with your friends thing, because Monster Hunter is very much multiplayer, if not massively so. I know you can play it solo, but it helps.
Point is, it's expected to sell really well on the console. Especially since I don't think Monster Hunter XX did well on the 3DS all that much. A bit hazy on the numbers, but it's definitely anticipated on the you know, on the marketplace. You know, certainly a lot more than another fucking version of Street Fighter 2. I mean, I do have to ask, what the fuck is what is this Ultra Street Fighter 2 business? Like, why this? Why like this is the
Well, you
kind of
see,
thing
Adam, people really like Street Fighter 2.
yeah, but this is the kind of thing when I'm talking about a test game. It's like you dusted off an old ass game
That
you
has
slapped
had
on
more ports than I think there are years Earth has existed.
you slapped on some new gimmicky modes for the new console. You put in like a new character. Okay, you put in the bare minimum, and you know what you fucking charge? $40.
Street Fighter 2 Ultimate, now including Goken's teacher.
Yeah, I'm like, fucking hell. Like, if this game doesn't chart, I won't be surprised because nobody wants to pay $40 for fucking Street Fighter 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised to find out that you were incorrect about that, but you could be. Correct.
I'm like, well, keep in mind that this is based off of a version of Street Fighter 2 that went for $15.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing new I think in it is the Hadoken thing, which that's not worth an extra $35.
No, the other new thing is the other new thing is Violent Ken. You know.
Which
Yeah.
is the equivalent of Evil Ryu, right? It's Ken
Yes.
with the will to kill Hado thing.
Yes, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. This is like you're testing the waters with an overpriced port of Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think I saw an article saying that the level of support on the Switch would depend on this particular.
Yeah, not the best choice.
Yeah, it's like, how about you do that with like Monster Hunter Double X, because I'm pretty sure this is a game the audience actually wants, especially in Japan. Call it a hunch. But I mean, yeah, just this kind of thing needs to stop. It's like, don't insult the audience and then be surprised when they don't bite. Because they don't want any of your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Especially when you had a whole bunch of other games you could test the waters with, like
Yeah, it's
fucking
like-
Disney Afternoon.
yeah, I'm like, shit, yeah. I mean, you've dragged Resident Evil 4 onto every other platform. Why not this? I mean,
Mhm.
shit, like Resident Evil 4 was like one of the games they tested the Wii with, and that sold 1 million copies. But that was also due to other factors. Like, I don't think like Resident Evil 4 hadn't been ported to like every system in the universe, in 2007, 2000. And it also, the Wii pointer controls actually complemented Resident Evil 4 quite well. Some people actually consider the Wii version of Resident Evil 4 to be the definitive one.
I could see that.
Well, it's like, though some will contend that the pointer controls actually make the game too easy, because your accuracy, you're a lot more accurate with the Wii mode than you are with an analog stick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just exasperating. Though I do want to like delineate between that and something like, say, Minecraft coming to the system. Like, Minecraft is hitting the Nintendo Switch because Minecraft comes to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's popular on everything. And Minecraft.
I was gonna say, and also Microsoft's not allergic to money.
Yeah, it's also Minecraft actually kind of benefits from being on the Nintendo Switch. It's the best portable version out there.
Mm-hmm.
like I forget exactly in terms of resolution, but I know it was like you the Minecraft for the Nintendo Switch displays more
It's the
than
aspect
the
ratio. It's better than the Vita or the mobile version.
not just that, but like the Xbox 360 and the Wii U versions. It's better than that.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One.
And certainly
You
not as
know,
good as the PC version because mods.
well, obviously, that just kind of went without saying. You know, on the other hand, there have been bad ports like Like, if you want to see how technology can really fuck with a port, go look at Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2. Like, it took a hit on the Switch. You know,
Yeah.
uh, I'm like, Digital Foundry has a pretty good video on how gimped the Switch version of that particular package is. So, I suppose the overall point here is, you know, it's not always lazy devs that cause problems with multi-platform games on Nintendo consoles, but you know, sometimes half-assery does happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that needs to be admitted as well. You know, like I'm not saying EA isn't putting the effort into FIFA 18, but I mean they've gone about it so bizarrely that they couldn't help but piss the audience off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right then, I think that'll about do it for this discussion.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Let's see. So first up, coming up next on Moonhawk Studios Presents, I believe we've certainly announced it before, but if you missed it, we will be speaking to the incomparable Richard Epcar. He's done he's done a shit ton of voice work in both video games and cartoons and anime and all that stuff. You probably know him best as Bato from Ghost in the Shell or Jigen from Lupin the Third. You know, I would say Jonathan Joestar, but that Stardust Crusaders hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, isn't that like
Joseph
next on Tuna?
Joestar.
Um, okay, Ogre, you
I
go
was
first.
gonna yell at you the other day for that, but it's Joseph Joestar. Jonathan was the first guy.
Whatever.
But yeah, isn't that like next on Toonami's docket?
Adam, you have to get your JoJo straight. It's a crime not to.
Well, not in this country, fortunately.
Yet, give Ogre time to get into office, right?
Yeah, that's not something you should look forward to. Anyway, Adam.
I'm like, what about Jonathan? Yeah,
No, that was the end of the conversation. We're throwing it back to you to finish up.
Anyway, so yeah, he's done a ton of voice work. We're breaking format for that, so you know. If you wanted our news for the week, this was a program for it.
I was about to say you might want to hit the rewind button.
Yeah, it's like Max. Well, Max said he was the only one who was going to do news this week.
Mm-hmm.
To keep it under half an hour. Because it turns out when you have 7 people blathering on about the week, it takes some time.
Indeed.
But the week ahead. Well, geez. So first of all, Sunday reviews. So first of all, we've got X-Field Pinball 3. Paintball.
I wish it was a pinball game. It might be better then.
Possibly, but yes. Oh, we were hoping that this game would get better this week, but That appears not to have been the case.
Unless I have an
Although-
immaculate patch by Friday, this is gonna get canned.
Like, well, we literally have an obligation to do this game. So, like,
March on.
yeah, I'm like, well, I saw Quick Play was available, and that's 2-on-2, so we can still do that apparently.
Mhm.
But nothing else is working.
Like, I can't
I
even
don't-
change the resolution to be able to record the game, so
No,
we won't be live streaming the Friday play session on that.
unless something miraculous happens.
You would really think in this day and age, being able to switch between full screen and windowed mode would be kind of standard at this point.
You would think, but
Life is hilarious sometimes.
And the other game is Zombitled Remonstered. It's a zombie-themed cow clicker game. Recently ported from mobile devices. Like, my initial impressions, well, it's actually a pretty reasonable clicker game. Like, more on that, on Sunday. And so, I suppose the other big news is, well, next week is going to be a special time because next week is E3 week.
Yay.
Yeah. So that means all the
Wait,
big.
can I get milder with that? Yay.
I ain't sharing because we got to work that shit.
yeah. How many specials do we have planned? 3?
3, but it could have been a lot more because
God.
yeah, it's like we're not covering the EA conference. Like, I suppose we might be able to cover Bethesda and Devolver Digital, but that's like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that
Like-
would be a spur of the moments thing depending on who's awake.
Yeah, I'm like,
Well,
and
maybe if the conferences lasted 8 minutes.
I'm like the the PC gaming show is Monday afternoon.
Yeah, I won't be able to attend that one, so.
Yeah, Ubisoft is Monday afternoon, late afternoon. But yeah, the big 3 are Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, happening Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and we will intend to cover those.
Yeah, I will try and set up events on the Twitch thing and see if I can get that working, but I guarantee nothing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I won't be available on Sunday, but I should be able to be here for the other 2.
And Wednesday is going to be a bit of a break for us in terms of content, because, well, Petty Fan, why don't you tell them?
Alright, since getting a guest for E3 is usually difficult, I decided to get Draconis Gamestein. We had him on MSP a few weeks ago, and basically me, him, and Ogre and Twilight are going to be talking about Final Fantasy XIV. What we thought of Heaven's Word and kind of our hopes and dreams for 4.0.
And maybe I'll bitch about you about MMOs and why I like Final Fantasy but wishes the MMOs ones weren't numbered.
It's,
Hey, trust me, that's a thing I got too. Ever since 11, Knock and I have been, really? This is 11? It can't just be Final Fantasy Online?
Yeah, I'm just really bothered for the people who in 20 or 30 years are going to want to play. Hey, I got an idea. Let's do a marathon let's play or playthrough of all of the Final Fantasy games. We can't. The servers for 11 and 14 went down half a decade ago.
I'm going to throw that one out the window because private servers have been popping up for 11, so...
Okay, well that's something.
Anyway, Petty.
and I was just going to say, basically that's going to be our night.
Yeah, Adam's going to be hanging in the background.
Trying
I
to
don't
keep
know
a
what-
stool and a
I
rope
don't
away
know
from
what
him, but...
I don't know what interpretation you want to take with that, but I'm pretty sure either one is valid.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially next week's Adam's night off.
I'm
Sort of.
going to be honest, out of all the people who need time off, outside of surgery and stuff? Probably Adam.
Well, it's like I'm the one who has to do the interviews.
Mhm.
It's just kind of how the job goes. But I'm like, we're probably going to have more commentary on E3. Like, probably not a full
Yeah.
wrap up, but keep in mind, when we broadcast, it's going to be like the first or second actual day of E3.
Yeah, and usually we do our full wrap up the week after for those of you who are new to the show.
So, I think that's about it for the week ahead. A bit longer than usual, but it's a bit more involved than usual.
This is
So,
like the gaming Oscars, except nobody gets awards and nobody cares about that shit for gaming, so.
they're trying with the Game Awards.
Yeah, they're trying, but I don't see that shit sticking to a dartboard.
Duly noted. All right. Well, until next time, I wish you good gaming.
Okay, and we are in post show.
All right.